Many of us are just surviving. We're making choice after choice, decision after decision, reactively. So reactivity is also just another survival, right? What if you could come home, be talking to your friends, talking to your spouse in a relationship, and you could think with clarity, communicate those thoughts, and be confident in how you're showing up, knowing you are being authentic to yourself.
I am mentally strong, learn it, live it, level up, regardless what life brings. I will live mentally strong.
Mentally strong people stay strong in chaos. They stay calm in chaos. But what does that actually mean? A lot of people think it means externally calm. I'm talking about internally calm, controlled, being able to think and make choices in the midst of chaos. Sometimes we think of firefighters or ER docs when doing that, and there are careers that are formed around that. The high-level executive that is making these decisions. But I'll tell you something, I work with a lot of high-level executives, and when they get home, that's where they feel the chaos. Relationships, children, bringing it all together and knowing how to be mentally strong in the midst of whatever life is bringing you. There's this thought that mental strength is about controlling your reaction. That is one part of it. I teach this thing called the Mentally Strong Method, and we talk about triggers. Triggers are those external things, that chaos that's coming at you. And yes, it is a sign of strength to say, I can control my reactions when these triggers are coming to me. But oftentimes, internally, you don't feel calm. Internally, you don't feel strong. So what if you could come home from a crazy busy day? Maybe you had to fire someone that you actually liked. Maybe you had to confront something, just a lot of uncomfortable decisions that you had to make. And then you come home and your spouse is upset at you, or your children are making decisions that are really hurting your heart. And you just feel like it's chaos, like it's too much. How do you actually stay calm in the midst of real life chaos? I want you to think about how you think through your problems, organizing them, and making choices. Many of us are just surviving. We're making choice after choice, decision after decision, reactively. So reactivity is also just another survival, right? What if you could come home, be talking to your friends, talking to your spouse in a relationship, and you could think with clarity, communicate those thoughts, and be confident in how you're showing up, knowing you are being authentic to yourself. It's kind of complicated when you think about it. And so when you think about mental strength, I don't want you to just think about the external. I'm Dr. B, and I make people go deep. Like, get into the why you're showing up the way you're showing up. You'll begin to see patterns of the choices that you're making and the ways that you are feeling and the cycles that are happening, right? So real clarity of thought. We all know how to think, but real clarity of thought is at the end of thinking. After you've thought about something for a period of time, you have clarity. You don't have more negative thoughts. You don't have overwhelm. You don't have well, I'm just going to have to make a decision and see what happens, right? You actually have clarity. And part of that is being able to kind of go deep in yourself, in your psyche, and how you feel. And feelings are not comfortable for a lot of people. Feelings are uncomfortable. They sometimes hurt. And so thinking that calm and mental strength has to do with going inside is uncomfortable for some people. But that is what actually makes you stronger, because the way you are thinking right now is likely just spinning wheels of previous patterns. I want you to be able to think with clarity, be able to communicate that, and have confidence in where you are in your life, in all areas of your life. Maybe you're excelling at your career, but your relationships are falling apart. Maybe you're doing great in your relationships, but you just made some really bad financial or business decisions. There is likely an area of your life that feels like chaos. And I can help. I work specifically with elite professionals that are trying to take themselves to the next level. And when I say next level, many of us are carrying like a backpack of weights in our back. And these are things, events that have happened in our life, ways that we perceive the world. And it's like this weight on our shoulders. What if you could take those weights out one by one? Oftentimes we're trying to throw away the backpack, but some of those things are your story. They are what makes you strong, right? But we've got to organize those things so that we know what to do with them, because everybody's story is a little different. Everybody's life events and situations and how that molded them is different. And so when I work with someone, I am working through thinking, organizing, and choosing. So let's practice. I want you to think about an area of your life right now that feels like chaos. It is not happening the way that you want it to happen, right? And I want you to think, and I do something called a thought map, but it's like these bubbles of what is making you feel like that or think like that right now. What is so chaotic about it? Maybe it's your mother-in-law is doing this and your daughter's doing this, and you have an employee at work that's doing some things that are bothering you, right? Like maybe it's all these different things going on at one time, and you're like, if that wasn't happening, I would be okay. I'm here to tell you those external things are just your triggers, right? But I want you to write them all down. And then we start going back, well, when in your life, in your past, have you felt chaos? And then into your childhood. Kind of uncomfortable, but I can tell you many of your personality and your patterns and the way that you're showing up and the decisions that you're making started in childhood. Good, bad, or indifferent, that's not what it's about. It's about you having insight into how that showed up for you. And then the last question I always ask when I'm producing clarity of thought is, how does this impact your spiritual relationship? Because we are physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual beings. We've got to bring that into the picture of thought. And then we go into organizing. And this is where what I teach is different than anything, in that you put these things into categories. You notice the patterns, you put them into categories, and you say, okay, this is that type of weight, right? For me, I have a lot of grief. I've lost 3 children and my husband over the course of 20 years. And that is a lot of weight. But I also have weights from my childhood. Someone telling me I'm stupid, or, these kinds of things that are still, even though I know they're not true, they still, impact the way I show up. And then we put them in the different categories so that we can make choices and working on ourselves. So when I'm bringing somebody through a program, I am asking them to commit to 90 days. The first 30 days, You're going to work hard to understand and learn the Mentally Strong method. The second 30 days is like you practicing by yourself and checking in with me. And then the last 30 days is you are actually being able to communicate and share, right? Then you can share with your spouse, with your children, with the people that you care about. Because if we have a system for mental strength, we know how to think through our problems, organize them, and make choices in line with what we really want, we will be mentally stronger. What does that mean? That means increasing our capacity for whatever is going on in our life right now, but also our capacity for joy, for love, for abundance. Being able to take off those weights, to know what to do with them, is true mental strength. So staying calm in chaos is about an internal calm, not just externally looking like you're in control, right? So if you'd like to work with me, click the link in the description, and I'd love to see you there. You are mentally strong.